There are still places in the world where a 6-year-old can be accused of attacking a grown man. You're a slave of the prophet or the infidel, and slaves have no rights. Who needs a trial, persecute, or be martyred? They just have to prove it was the kid's fault. Places like this, where there's a chance to prove it was the child's fault, like, these places should not exist. I say the UN made a Central African warlord the last king of Scotland, so the third world could rape little blonde kids and call them liars until they shoot up a school. But maybe it's not the United Nations official policy. It's not ours either. I mean, it's one thing to say that you thought I was gay to justify, or to say, like, for the attacks to stop. Just let some child rapist walk free, let bygones be bygones. But it wasn't just that. I've also had faggots following me around raping people, and now I'm alone. I live with my mom. They raped the love of my life. I wandered the earth lost without her for years. And if me not being gay means they're gonna keep attacking us. See, them calling me haram or whatever, not taking no for an answer, just tells me that I got raped in surgery when I was 6 years old, because I'm actually not gay. I've never had sex with a dude. Like, you're getting ripped off, and they're telling you to point the finger like you got no choice. I get it, but Moses said that thou shalt not lie with a man as thou doth with a woman. To do so is an abomination, because the Lord will not bless two men with new life ex nihilo, out of nothing. So two men cannot be married in the eyes of God. So up until, like, they tried to kill me before I found out when I was 35, that was a long period of time when we could have been not getting attacked to begin with. Like, why stop now? It's worth so much goddamn money to you, right? You're making a lot of money off it. Go through all this effort. Good, innocent people have suffered needlessly to make room for the new owners. And if you can't be relied upon to show up for them, I mean, fuck me, right? But for them, at least. See, they start off trying to prove the victim's gay. Otherwise, they were the aggressor. For you to keep doing it is just basically like you're covering for the guys following me around raping people. I'm over here talking about threats to national security. You're like, you're gay. See, we live in a society where civilized people don't necessarily have to dignify that with a response. I mean, when we were kids, it's funny, and I guess if it didn't turn into a real thing, like, it still would be, but they made a Central African warlord the last king of Scotland so they could call us liars and cut us out of negotiations. And the question is, like, obviously they do it to us, and we have money, so that they're going to do it to us at this time. Who knows what they got in the works in China, for instance. The point I'm trying to make is we caught them here. If that's allowed, all this effort, like, what's the big idea? Somebody in the Pentagon's like, close call. Like, I was this close to eating my gun just now. I almost did it. I was gonna do it. You know, I made the mistake of sympathizing for the father of a martyred child in Palestine. Never again. Schwarzkopf was right. These people are animals. You give them an inch, they take a mile. But the thing about Bradley Manning is, there's no way he did it. Did he dump 60 years of classified data in yeah, let's go ahead and mobilize. Let's deploy a forward mobile server with 60 years of classified data on it to a hot zone in case I need to look up Korea. And the really messed up thing about it is, knowing that he didn't do it, and that, you know, they might just be calling him gay so that certain parties don't ask questions. They went and gave that poor kid a sex change operation on the taxpayer's dime, just so that there would be no questions asked. This proof, all they did was prove he was gay. prove he did it. So they scapegoated this kid for a massive data breach, massive national security violation, and cut his fucking dick off. Who ordered the logistics for the mobile server to be deployed? Captain, Colonel, maybe. But who made the decision? Like, let's who who wrote the script? Because I remember like Somalia and Y2K, Windows 95 didn't sign on automatically, so we had reams and reams of AOLs free for 30 days. Tell your friends. Free for 60 days. Tell us about your friends. Free for 90 days. And then after 9/11, TMZ is forced to acquire AOL after Wells Fargo absorbed Wachovia, and AOL is just mandatory now. Maybe they know this, benefit of the doubt, they're in on it, because if they don't know this, we're in deep trouble. But presuming somebody has the capacity, like, not to completely just lose World War III and blame some gay kid, presuming they knew about this, maybe they didn't know that Idi Amin was setting up, like, we have the United Nations for these people, right? If 200,000 skinnies starved to death for us to be in Somalia to begin with, it goes to follow they ate our pilots in Mogadishu. Call yourself some kind of goddamn doctor? I mean, it's the official story. Are we gonna change it? We're playing chicken with the Martians? Like, you can change it first? So we have the United Nations and all these obligations, and then they make a Central African warlord last king of Scotland so they can cut us out. Now they're raping little blonde kids and call them liars till they shoot up a school, blame the guns, and we've had guns for like 400 or 500 years, sir, ma'am, other. If the science doesn't work, the science doesn't work. 100% of car crashes are caused by wheels. Can we narrow it down a little? Recognize a Nazi by their telltale signature: cruel and unusual, involuntary human biological experimentation. I stand with Israel because the love of my life, turns out, was a Jew. In 2007, Robert Davies was framed for the murder of Laverne Rich, which is an international incident. He was obviously blatantly framed because he had a prior for child crimes from the first time they framed him to cover up rape and me in surgery. I wandered the earth for years, lost without her, and then we were finally reunited for that brief moment. And Joey Greco's there. Why's Joey Greco here? I thought it had something to do with drugs. It's not drugs. Never been married either. Coincidence. Benefit of the doubt, Joey Greco, he's working on something else while the phone company's trying to kill me. I actually have patents to file, peacetime, etc. So even if I hadn't figured out the 40-year crack epidemic full of school shootings, I might still be worth more than your whole goddamn operation, because I have something for the Mormons. It's the gay revolution, Joey Greco. Is that you? Just figure it's you for now, okay? Because as long as we're playing Muslim games, it's persecute or be martyred. I stand with Israel because the Mossad are born and bred to hunt Nazis. They are the most efficient intelligence service in human history. But wait, there's more. Maybe you can use this. Because I know you're scared. Roe versus Wade is the war on terror, because first, do no harm. You're not a goddamn doctor in any religion. It's an open door for the jihad. And that's 3 years after the gay revolution in 1969 at the Stonewall, named after my ancestor, because Jane Fonda crossed a line in Vietnam that we could not follow. She crossed a line between separation of church and state by using her celebrity status to go to the front lines to protest the war. See, celebrities are protected by the customs of the stage, as in stagecoach, same as a bench. Historically, they would have the same protections as any judge, because it does not speak the words falsely. Judges, they wear the gown, a little hammer, sometimes a wig, because judge is a bard. The bard recites the ballads of Thor. It does not speak the words falsely. So she went and did that, and now the celebrities are fair game. But you know, we're toast because, I mean, JFK, Charles de Gaulle, we just have no regard for religion in general. And to prove it, Roe versus Wade is a declaration of war on the defenseless. I mean, the gay revolution, it wasn't just a one and done. Like, it didn't just happen in 1969. It started in 1969. 55 years later, Congress can't define female. Korea was 10 years before JFK. So the United Nations was basically just founded to take us down. Smedley Butler wrote, "War is a racket." He was disgruntled after the Banana Wars. The whole time we were buying the world a Coke, Sigmund Freud was shoving cocaine up little girls' noses by the gram with his boyfriends. Went into exile just in time for the Holocaust. In the span of that time, there's World War One. Saudi Arabia is founded 6 years after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Like World War One didn't even happen. Subtle. And really, the Banana Wars were in competition with Gandhi. He was just the perfect mark. He was like the world. He was a rube. He was a traitor, a heretic. He wasn't even Hindu, so I guess technically not a heretic. But anyway, so he put a non-aggression pact on India and buffered it with 2 Islamic states in Pakistan and Bangladesh. And now there's I mean, India should not be like this weak, susceptible to Islam, but now it is, and it's just a bunch of useful idiots to persecute cattlemen around the world, not exactly in arm's reach for the law. I mean, the Air Force is over there. So now there's a non-aggression pact being treated like Swiss neutrality. The Banana Wars, World War One, World War Two. So that's 2 world wars we might have avoided so far, idiot grandmasters. Now, I was crippled repeatedly as a child before I even joined the military. And then the military was the high point of my working life. I might have made a career of it, used to say. Instead, I was robbed of the opportunity for political gain. So standing up for that Palestinians' human rights, I mean, my mistake. But Bradley Manning, I guess it's just not even an option at this point, because they had to connect the army to a crime against humanity through me. After I left town, they went and crippled some poor girl with cocaine. Well, I never sold cocaine. It's just the guys raping little boys in surgery, trying to cover it up, cause a bunch of trouble. The Nazis were justified by the Banana Wars, but the Banana Wars were justified by Gandhi. So that's probably explains the swastika. It's a pagan symbol. It's pretty much a symbol for paganism. Multiple pagan traditions say it symbolizes creation, but I mean, if it symbolizes creation across multiple pagan traditions, it symbolizes paganism. Smedley Butler was disgruntled. Happens to the best of us. We shouldn't have been in that position. And then there's the New Deal. And the New Deal was written so that Wall Street would stop jumping out of the skyscrapers, not because they inherited divine right from our gratitude for the Great Depression. Started getting real uppity after Vietnam. Last King of Scotland, Central African warlord, raping little boys in surgery. And they're not just calling the little boy a liar. They're calling all of us liars. That's why, like, there's the UN, and we're all in that, right? That was the agreement. But then they went and cut us out of their own thing.
It's classified and penalized myself. It was that guy. Well, maybe it was that guy.
So as long as I'm single, unmarried, and not gay, still subject to debate, say it to my face. Send me a limo. I've been writing to the CIA for 8 years. What are you scared of? In case the FBI couldn't tell with their little psych profile, I am against communism, with or without the manner by which we are being forcefully converted, anti-American activities. When did we give that up? You can't ban waterboarding? I mean, that was my first clue, Benghazi. Ban waterboarding, local private contractors, Navy SEALs frantically calling the Secretary of State in the middle of the night at the office for permission to evacuate their objective. It's just basically like, at this point, it's trying to make it as goofy as possible, just as ridiculous as classified. Oh, and it was my fault? Was it my fault? So it was all my fault. I guess I better eat my gun, huh? I actually have an upgrade for the FBI's doomsday machine. I want to add a device that allows them to wave it in your face instead of, doesn't have to be a big secret anymore, a big surprise now I can threaten you with it. Send me a limo. Send me a fucking Suburban full of Navy SEALs. I don't give a fuck. Shoot another goddamn plane at it. Call Jerusalem, call Rome, call London, call Sweden, I don't know, wherever else they have kings of the humans. Tell them we got another form of mutually assured destruction. Not necessarily, I really don't need all the mutually assured. We could just kill everybody by ourselves. And you'd be like, oh no, that's terrible, terrible people. But I guarantee we get an extension. Freedom of the free press, because you need a license to drive on the roads. And now any legislator, page, or intern, whatever, waltz in and out. I mean, it has to be classified first. We can't just waltz in and out of our operations. But once we're no longer actively, dying, I got a bunch of stuff way better than whatever they had in mind. I don't hate the King of England. He's under a lot of pressure, surrounded by hospitallers. First, do no harm, and then when you win the war is won. And it doesn't matter if you're impaling them on sticks and drinking blood. Still not a terrorist. But first, do no harm, or you're not a doctor in any religion, hospital, or no goddamn hospital. So with, I'm not saying we have to nuke Saudi Arabia. I'm saying, we should have in 1987, but the United Nations being made aware that they made a Central African warlord the last king of Scotland so they could cut Europe and the Americas out of their own little thing. Will be imposing customs. Since it respects no church and state, it cannot expect protection as a church from the state. And then I drafted the tax code reform. Now we can audit exploitative religious practice. Doesn't matter who did it. Point being that now there's a scientific definition for what constitutes a religion versus conventional foreign attack. Freedom of the free press. And my medical ethics for Catholic women is still far more conservative than the Jewish approach. It's like a happy medium. I mean, in a life-threatening situation, you're not only confronted with the possibility of losing an heir, but the mother. And if you lose a mother, you're not going to get another heir, and that's what it's all about. Now you need to furnish a death certificate, so they have something to mourn. They have to grieve. Fulfills their religious obligation. Islam just isn't. It just won't be as much of a factor anymore. Using terrorism and slavery, raping little boys is not the only way to pay for your tea. Transparency. We got the couple of peacetime etceteras. I have these inventions, and I haven't been able to work on the patent because I got child molesters following me around with their useful idiots, their human shields. When I say child molester, I'm not talking about, oh, she's too young for him, because how convenient for the faggots. She's too female for him is what you mean. A child molester is a pedophile who acts on his predatory deviant urges. A pedophile is someone that sees a child, a biologically immature child, as a sexual object. So a pedophile is a sickness, child molester is a crime. But we're not talking about statutory rape. It's called jailbait for a reason.
She's too young for him.
Says feminazi bimbo working for the guys forcefully marrying 6-year-olds. Can't figure out how to pay for Social Security and rip off the government. It's not her fault. It's not feminazi grandma's fault. We're working on the reason. We're working on the guys using her to cover their tracks. rape a 6-year-old unconscious little boy on an operating table and lie to him. So many levels beyond your bullshit. If it allows Dick Cheney the mobility to pursue the crime against humanity, it would have been a moral justification for various policy. I mean, I'll apologize, but we want to wrap that case because it wasn't just her. I'm not just gonna apologize. Like, can I please do business with Wash? Still got the peanut gallery following me around. I want a Navy base in South Africa for SpaceX. You're just not thinking. You're not using your imagination. They got various things they want to do, like to equalize the situation. You're never gonna build the infrastructure in an effective time frame. I might have some ideas. Long arm of the law in South Africa, and then Harvard. For me, I don't know what Princeton needs. It needs something. Figure some kind of partnership or a gesture for Princeton to make Princeton whole. Work just as well to just blame them. William Buckley State University, Beirut, Lebanon, and I mean, it doesn't have to be in the city because it's going to be sprawling. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a Catholic church, a cathedral. Okay, I know what Harvard does. We're going to use Princeton for precedent. We're going to take it from there. We're going to put it over there. It's going to be good for over here. It's going to be good for everybody. It's not the Muslims. It's Islam, but it is Islam. So when you take that factor out of the equation, I mean, it's just a bunch of Muslims now. And I'll give you 10 years. I mean, the 2 stars thing doesn't necessarily... It's symbolic, but for instance, as long as we're granting wishes, Brigadier Chaplain. I don't mean to undermine or degrade the quality, devotion, honor of the generals that we have, but you've seen NATO, 10 years, work on my doctorate. I mean, it's in Beirut, for Christ's sake. A nice monastic era cathedral, orchard, apothecary, laboratory. I have a library seat, maybe a semolina plantation from a beer. Then there's the university proper, Iron Dome, comprehensive civic readiness programs. And now, because this is a Catholic mission forged in the fire, the devil's playground, where the doctors are sworn the Hippocratic Oath. Now, this is a taproot. This is the end of the war on terror.